So it can be super frustrating trying to create content for social media, especially when you're spending so much time and energy and effort into it, and then nobody shows up. Or have you ever had this where you find people start to be attracted by your message and you find out they're the wrong people? Either they stop responding to you, they stop watching your video, or they just ask you a random question about the clothes you're wearing or something else that you're not doing related to your business. And here's the thing. It can also cause a lot of people to freeze when they're in the process of putting together content, whether it's video, which we'll talk a little bit about today, or posts or whatever. And really, we get in our heads about it. We're like, oh my God, what's going to happen if I do this? What are people going to think if I say this or I say that? And then we start copying people and it just gets like really frustrating because nobody is showing up. Now, here's the thing. If your goal is to get people to know, like, and trust you, we want to help you get started today. We want to help you like really speed up that process, because video is one of those things that if you're willing to lean into it, you can actually build up that trust faster than you ever thought imaginable. And that's what we're going to do. Today, we're going to have a discussion around not only how you can really tap into some new video-based tactics to get you to connect with people and build that know, like, and trust, but also do so without spending all day trying to figure it out, trying to make sure you're forcing this stuff through there, and then also like creating content that like can live on forever. If you're ready to do that with us, that's what we're going to do today. We're super pumped to have you here with us. And with that being said, let's go. It's time to redefine leadership. Welcome to Modern Leadership, where we see things differently. Our channel is all about empowering entrepreneurs like you to achieve the next level of success in business and life. We believe that you can create a massive impact in the world without compromising your personal life or family time to do so.
We're committed to providing you with actionable tips and strategies weekly to make that possible. So if you're ready to become a modern leader and make a lasting difference in the world, consider subscribing, turn on notifications, and dive into our community. We want to thank you for being here, because the world needs your leadership now more than ever. Let's go.
Yes, it does. It needs you now more than ever. And today we are actually joined by my boy, Curt AKA Kaine Legacy. So guys, for those of you guys who don't know, Curt is the genius behind this channel. Like, we just show up and we just do what Curt tells us to do.
Yep, he works.
We wanted to bring him here to you guys, and we'll be talking about like an opportunity that we are going to have at the end called our Inner Circle, where we're going to bring on a lot of the people that not only that we hang out with, but the people who help guide us and direct us in certain areas where we don't necessarily feel 100% qualified to do that. Now, Curt was a professional DJ for like 37 million years. He is like a master at video editing. If you've seen our videos, if you saw that beautiful intro, there is a lot of science behind video, what to say, what not to say, when to say it, when to flash graphics, whether you should do the dancing thing or not do the dancing thing. There's a lot when it comes to like keeping attention, grabbing people, and really making sure that you're connecting with your type of people. But I want to start off real quick by a little bit of a round robin. And I'm going to ask Curt and Teresa this question, but in the audience, I want to ask you guys this too. By the way, I did a poll just before we got started with like, who loves video? Who thinks it sucks? And we got 50% people voted, nope, video sucks. 25% yes, I love it. And 25% nah, but I'm really, not really, but I'm open to it. I think Curt probably voted for yes, it sucks. But that being said, I want you to think about this for a second, guys. I want you to think about the last time you went through an experience where you bought something online from like a person, from maybe it was a course, maybe it was an object, maybe it was an item. And I want you to think about like, what was it about that connection piece that you had with them that made you feel like it was a good idea to buy something from that person? And it could even be like a widget. Like I've bought so many things from Instagram. I bought so many things from Instagram where I will see something and I'll see like, and I'm just going to come out and say it for me. I'll see a video and it'll show some different things. It'll make me curious. I'll want to go do some research on it. And the reason why I wanted to ask you this question is because we all have different ways that like we're drawn to a certain person or a course or a product or a program. And I really feel like when we talk about starter level of how to create video to attract people, we got to think about like what attracts us. So the first question is going to be, what is it about that person or that thing that attracted you? And number two is, are there things that you see on social media or anywhere in general that kind of like turns you off to the idea of like wanting to purchase or do something with them? That being said, I'll start with you, Teresa. So is there some things that you like think really stand out when you are actually buying and purchasing things? And are there some things that maybe push you away?
Okay, so I'll give you an example. One of them was a few years ago. I was trying to learn Canva, and
Mhm.
fast forward now, I'm like all over Canva, but that's a whole other story. That's a whole other topic. But when I was trying to find a way to kind of learn the platform,
Yeah.
or the this program that was now, it's now eons past like what it was before, but back then it was like this new thing, and I wanted to find a way to kind of learn about it. And I was going through my news feed, and I found this particular woman who was actually an expert in Canva. She had a background in graphic design, and she created this course about how to use Canva. But she went a step further. And I think this was the thing that kind of got me, because I didn't know her. I didn't know who she was. I had never heard of her. But what got me was that it was kind of like this done for you thing. And I think she actually had those specific words in her messaging, because it was like, okay, I want to learn this, but I don't want to take all this time to actually learn it and do it. I want to actually be able to create a template or a post or a graphic, super quick, while I'm still learning, but also still have that available for me. And that's what she had. It was kind of like this done for you kind of template type package. And I was like, oh, cool. This is so awesome. And it looked really nice. And it was kind of like her brand
Mhm.
attracted me to her particular course. So that is what I did. So one, I didn't know her at all.
Mhm.
So it wasn't like I was like, oh, I have to go through this process of understanding who she is, her personality or whatever. I wasn't interested in that particular thing. It was like the time. It was like, well, how much time is this going to take me? Oh, it's going to take me no time, because she has templates and I could just plug in that stuff. So that's what attracted me there. And I think it's different based on like what you're looking for.
Yeah. So let me ask you a follow-up question to that. You also said that she had some kind of like she has some things she's accomplished in the past, right? You said something related to, oh, and she was also professional this and professional that. You know that.
Said it. She said it in her messaging.
Yeah.
It was like she was establishing her expertise, right? Her background was graphic design. So she was able to create all of these templates because she had that background, and that was all I knew. But she thought it was important to actively point that out. And I was like, oh, cool. Like,
Mhm.
I'm getting this from not just like a random person on
Mhm.
the internet. It's like she has experience in this, and and she showed like the actual product, right? So I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. She's a graphic designer, she has the experience, and they're really pretty, and all I have to do is just put my spin on it. So yeah.
So I want to ask you also before we go to Curt, like, what are some things that usually like detract you from buying
Mhm.
something? But before we do, like, one of a couple of the things that I want to make sure you captured for that is the reason why Teresa bought is, number one, the person had some type of credibility. They stood out amongst the crowd. I see a lot of videos nowadays from people who are trying to stand in and fit in with the crowd. And like, what your superpower is when you stand out from the crowd.
Mhm.
You may not have, 50 million hours of like working as a what were they? Graphic designer, but you have something that can help you build that credibility in what it is that you're doing, right? So like calling out to that, not every single video, but like you got to make sure that people understand where you're coming from, or you're just like everyone else, right?
Right.
And there's something about her that stood out. The second piece was making it easier. You're going to see the videos that we do here on our channel, the ones that get the most clicks are about time, about money, and making it easier for you. So I don't want it to lead with like, this is the easiest thing you'll ever do is to start a business, right? I don't want to lead with that, but I also want to say like, if you follow this strategy, it will make it easier for you to be able to succeed, right? So the reason why I want to bring this up is because you guys also have things that you click on and that you sign up for and that you take that next step is. And we're all looking for like that outside, like evidence outside of us or the person who's going to teach us stuff. But how about you just take a second to go, oh, what attracts me? What detracts me? And then how can I kind of like duplicate that? So that being said, what are some things or maybe a thing or two that detract you when you hear this? Like you're like, okay, peace out.
Yeah, and I'll give another example of this super quick. It's really kind of when you get to know that person. And I think for me, it's like personality. Like if the person just doesn't like, I just don't connect with that person, then I peace out. There's an example of someone on Instagram who I found that was really good in video. which is funny because like that was like her thing. Her background was actually in like newscasting. So she was very comfortable with the camera, but her personality just like it just it was distracting. So I didn't, like look more into that person when I was actually like maybe interested in doing video. So that is one thing. It's like if I don't connect with that person or if I find them annoying or whatever, which obviously we're going to find and we're going to be annoying to other people as well. And we have to accept that. So that's one of the things that really kind of like, if I just don't vibe with you, your personality just doesn't, vibe with me, then I'm out.
Yeah. Okay. So we've already learned, like, this has already been a crash course towards it. All right. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by this, but what Teresa basically said right now is the person can have the best product in the world, but if she doesn't vibe with her and her personality, like she's not a good fit. Right. And so she'll continue to move on. Now, here's the thing, like Teresa probably hasn't thought about this since it happened, but because I'm bringing it to her awareness, it happens automatically. Remember, people are looking at our feed, they're watching our videos, and automatically, subconsciously, they're deciding, should I keep watching? Does this apply to me? Do I like this person? Do I dislike this person? Do they know what they're talking about? We are constantly trying to go, okay, how can I convince myself this person right here should be somebody that I don't listen to so I can go to the next video, so I can swipe to the next video. And they're doing this instantaneously. All right. I just want you to know kind of like what you're kind of up against, but also by being the real you, by being genuine, by being like and attracting your person, by trying to not be someone else, but be yourself is a huge deal. What would happen if this person was like trying to be like somebody else? And if we really knew her, we would have actually maybe signed up, but she was trying to put on this fake persona, trying to pretend like you wouldn't really get to know her. Right. And so being able to get that know, like, and trust by just being yourself, like so many of these things is just like, be yourself, like own what it is that you do. Right. And then of course there's like some nuances about what you can do or say in the video. And we'll get to those in a little bit, but it's really about like pulling out what has worked for you in terms of you buying things and not wanting to buy things. And how can you take those universal principles? So Curt, I want to go to you now, brother. When you buy stuff or have bought stuff online or a course or from a person, like what do you see is like the reason why you felt compelled to do that?
Well, well, first of all, I have to shout out to Brenda for saying DJ is a great skill. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Also, I agree with both Brenda and Teresa about the person being authentic. Even if it's a brand, if I believe that they're leading with value and leading with a way that can make my life, or especially somebody who works as hard as we do, make our jobs easier, our lives overall easier, so that we can get back to doing what we do best. You've got my ear at that point. And to answer your next question, because I know what's coming, what really turns me off is people that are focused so much on giving the hard sell that they don't really take the time to lead with the value. So it's like this, 2 minutes into the video, you're already trying to sell me. Then I feel like the only reason you're putting this video together is to sell me a product. We all know that we're in business, everyone's in business, but the thing is, you have to focus on that know, like, and trust aspect. If I don't know you or like you, I'm not going to trust you. I'm not going to buy anything from you. So that's, the both sides of the coin for me. That and Brenda also, and Laura also brought up a point in the chat about being confident. Confidence definitely, because confidence shows your expertise in the thing. If you're leaning into something you have expertise in, like Teresa said about the course that teaches Canva, the instructor had a certain expertise, and that came through in the confidence, and that's what I believe would get people engaged, is that confidence of the expertise. So yeah, for
sure. Yeah, I feel like I'm on the same point when it comes to like where I buy stuff from. It is coming from someone or something that I know, like, and trust, even if it is a brand. And that was a really good point, is like it doesn't have to just be a specific person. There's this thing called primal branding. It's actually a book that I just finished, and it's really powerful because it talks about like we all have certain emotions that we get when we experience like a brand. So when you experience like Ulta, for example, for you, there's a certain feeling that you get in your body because it has this image in your brain of what the brand is, what it's not, what it's against, all that kind of stuff. And we're no different. So when people see us, they experience something based off of even our photo, like on a Facebook or, our business page or whatever. Somebody sees our photo and they're like, oh my gosh, like I know him or I know her, and this is the value they give. And then just, they get all of these feelings just from a photo, like on somebody's like timeline. But also like finding ways of sharing your expertise, but not in a, hey, I'm like the best thing on the planet. I get turned off by that. So if somebody's like just talking about themselves, like I want to hear what they've been able to accomplish and some of the things that they've been able to do. Thanks, Curt. It's Primal Branding by Patrick Hanlon. But if I get turned off by people who are like talking about themselves the entire time, just like Curt, I'm like, John Maxwell says that like people don't care what you know until they know that you care, right? And being able to like lean in and give them some type of value, and then after that, saying, hey, you know what? Like, if this is something you really enjoy, this is something that you can experience more of, right? I love that way of selling versus the other way where you jump in and it's just like straight at you, some type of like sales video, and they're talking all about themselves and all about all the kudos and everything they've been able to do and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I actually get turned off by that, which is crazy because some people actually get turned on by that, right? I was actually just getting an email today, and I get about 17 emails a day about people who are like, you know what? There's a mistake that you're making on your Modern Leadership YouTube channel. There's a mistake that you're making on your YouTube that if you just fix this, everything would be good. And I'm like, delete, because I do not like people leading with negativity, because they could be true, but I'm also like, peace out. I'm done. I'm not going to let you come in and help me. I would want somebody to lead with like a heart-based voice. Like, hey, you really crushed this. Like, have you considered doing this? Or like, I really think that like, if your message really needs to be heard, like louder on a louder stage. What if you were to like do this, this, and this? I think you could even reach more people because your message is so powerful. Like I'm probably telling people how to sell me right now, but like, I don't like those messages of like, you're screwing up. You made a mistake. You're an idiot. Like, I'm not going to open those.
Yeah. They're feeding into your insecurities probably.
They are, but I feel like a lot of people, Brenda says they take away your energy. I feel like a lot of people lead with that because it does work to some people. Yeah. Some people, it's like, hey, like you're doing it wrong. And they're like, oh, how do I need to do it right? Right. And then what's crazy is like, you'll find the people, they've got like 1,000 subscribers, right? And they're like, I can help you get 1 million subscribers. And you're like, really? You've got 1,000. How are you going to be able to help me get 1 million? Right. And they lead with that. And I mean, I go and check it up. I mean, Teresa knows this. Like, we decide we're going to buy a bed, for example. Like, I'm going to spend the next 72 hours researching everything possibly known to it. So when somebody comes up to me and they're like, oh, hey, I want to be able to help you do this. Like, I have to find that credibility and get that feeling of like, hey, they can back it up, right? And Laura says, yeah, it's kind of rude to start with a negative. 100%. And there's a lot of people on YouTube, in the world, everywhere that start with a negative, because Laura knows this because she's a life coach in her certification. That gets people the most attention. But is that the attention that you want? Do you want to start a video with like, that the negative, like shameful, like you don't find the time, you make the time. And if you were as good as me, you would be able to exercise and be as healthy as me. Like everybody's like, peace out, see you later, good luck, right?
Well, back then it was working though.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like you said, it's like for some people that's what it is. That's what it takes.
What's funny about that though is usually the people that it works for are the people that are already in shape. The people who are already on your bandwagon, they're going to come in and go, yeah, screw. Yeah. And now you think you're like, oh, I'm creating a movement. No, you're creating a movement of people who've already bought your program and your product, and they're continuing to do that, right? Yeah. So it's like this whole idea of like negativity and positivity is a big deal. So, okay, let's get into a few more questions. All right. I know we have a shorter time today.
Mark, I want to ask the next question.
Go ahead.
Yes. All right. So when people think about content, right, they think about photos on social media. They think about videos. They think about audio like podcasts. Which one do you, Mark, we're going to start with you. Which one do you think is the best and why?
Okay. I trump video on top of everything else. And I would say second would be like an audio podcast. And the reason why is kind of like what we were talking about here. There's ways to build like credibility, know, like, and trust in messages, in photos, in posts and things like that. But you don't get the real true version of the person, to me at least, until you get them and you either hear their voice or you see them on picture and see them on camera and go, hey, that's a real person, right? And take this a step further, I really love the live stuff versus the pre-recorded stuff. We do both here on our channel, but I feel like I really get to know the person when we're just having conversations with them, when I'm seeing them and I see them interacting and being like a normal human, then I feel like I really know them. And it might just be because I'm a police officer and I know that a lot of times people hide behind certain things, and they hide behind a perfect life on with photos and things like that, like on social media. In reality, I talk to them and they're like, my life's falling apart, right? So I feel like when it comes to video, the reason why I love it so much is because it builds that know, like, and trust quickly. Now, that being said, rewind 12 years ago when I first started on video, and I totally sucked at it, right? And it took a lot of reps and practice, but really I feel like it was like tapping into my skills, not only that I had to develop, but also my strengths. Because I do have a certain strength when it comes to like energy and excitement and hope and giving people belief, but I didn't know that. I was like doing like videos of like, oh, here's my top 10 tips about whatever, right? And so I really didn't do a good job of doing that. So I would say the reason why I push so much on video is because it creates that connection. Not that it's the only thing, like, and if you don't do it, you're going to fail. But I feel like it speeds up that process of getting the other person to know, like, and trust you if they're going to be your type of person. And it does that in the shortest time possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Are you going to ask Teresa that question?
I am. When you hit content.
Well, I like I said, I agree with Mark. I think video is the thing. And I mean, I'm attracted to video just for those reasons, because it's kind of like you get to know that person faster. And, you know, it's funny because like I have, for example, on YouTube, like I have actually kept watching certain videos, even when initially I was like, this person is annoying.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. But it was like, I don't know what it was that kind of like sucked me in. And I'm like, well, and it's almost like I subconsciously kind of like, oh, I'll just give him another chance. I'll give him another chance.
Yeah.
And now I like watch him. I'm like, that's that person. And it's almost like I keep saying, oh, they're kind of annoying, but there is something about them, something else that was kind of like, I'll set that aside and I'll keep watching because they actually have good stuff, you know, which is funny.
I'm kind of, I mean,
she's talking about me, guys, when she says
no,
we're not.
We'll call out. But I also feel like our friends, like our best friends, they also have annoying things about us that we have about them and vice versa. We're like, that's annoying when that person does that.
Yeah.
So
when people got to like know me, initially they were like, oh, she's like conceited or something, because I'm quiet, I'm reserved. So, and that's how like some people see other like introverts or people who are more reserved. They're like, oh, well, they're stuck up. But then they got to know me and they're like, oh, okay, well, she's not so bad. Right. But that's kind of how we are as humans. We're like that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Curt, I'm going to ask you the next question because actually you have some really great tips when it comes to this. But like, so somebody is nervous about making video. Okay, I'm going to skip a couple questions, but I really want you to answer this one because when you were sharing what you did with Liz in the beginning when you first started your journal, well, I think that is something that is going to be very helpful for the viewers. But if there's somebody's nervous about creating a video, right? What is some advice that maybe you can give them if they're starting to create videos to like make that nervousness kind of like come down a few notches?
Absolutely. And speaking of Liz, before we answer, Teresa, Liz loves Alta too. So, okay. So the question, are we basically talking about like the struggles when they're
so like right if they're a little nervous about like recording a video, what are some different strategies and stuff that you have employed to get yourself to record videos?
Yeah, I'm not a natural in front of the camera. So for the first, I have a playlist. What Mark is referring to is my playlist on my YouTube channel called the Music and Business Journal. And basically, when I first started out, I felt really, really nervous and really way too focused on the camera. So instead of talking with people, I was basically just staring into the camera like a deer in headlights. And the way to get rid of that was I asked Liz to sit behind the camera for me so that I could talk to her directly.
Yeah.
And it was just like a conversation, a monologue, if you will. But I was talking to a person and not focusing so much on the camera. As time goes on, as with all of this stuff, that's the main point of all of this stuff. Whatever you start off with is not what you end with. You progress through things. Now I can sit in front of the camera and I'm totally at home with it. But it wasn't like that for the first 6-8 months or so. I really had to have a human to talk to.
Yeah.
So.
I love that. And I remember like like when we were making the transition into doing more of an interview style like this is one of the reasons why we did this, is because when we were having our, they call them talking head videos, where you're just in front of the camera's a little bit close, and you're just giving them like whatever your tips are. And it's not really like a conversation. It does feel like a little bit weird and awkward for me, at least, to be able to kind of like just give them like those quick tidbits, but also like people didn't get to know us. Right. Mm-hmm. So I feel like having that where you actually have somebody behind the camera and they're even asking you questions, right? This is what I love about life coaching, by the way. You can just write your own questions and then just have somebody ask you questions, and then you're answering them, but you're answering them with a different confidence than if you're just looking at the camera.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's like, oh my God, like, what do I have to say to the camera, right?
We're so focused on ourselves.
Right. But if you're like, if that person's behind there and they're like, hey, let me ask you a question, and you're like just giving them advice, like as if you're giving your best friend advice, it is like way more simple to record that. And yes, it does look a little bit different because you're not looking into the lens of the camera. But like if you sit far enough away, you don't even know that right now I'm not even looking at the lens of the camera. It looks like it, but because I'm so far away, that's just the part of it, right? So being able to, whether it's having an actual person behind there or something else that I've done too, is like remind myself and think about like who it is that I'm speaking to in that moment, right? Mm-hmm. I know we've talked about this a lot with some of the people behind the scenes inside of our programs, but we talk a lot about like identifying who it is you're speaking to and who, like what they need to learn right then. Mm-hmm. So the person for our channel is kind of like, it's a person who is trying to leave their 9-to-5. They're trying to grow their business. They also want to be able to connect with their family on a deep and emotional level. And when we think about like, what is the content that they need today? What do they need to hear? Like we think about it through, oh, that's that person standing on the other side of that video. And they need to hear this today because of X, Y, and Z, right? It also helps us make sure that we're not too advanced in our conversation and talking to the person like we are today, but it's like to the person who actually needs that back then. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
All right. Everybody hear my dog trying to like literally climb out of his thing over there? Okay, Curt. So let's jump into the struggles real quick. I know we have a few more minutes. So Curt, you work with a lot of clients when it comes to like editing their videos, doing their podcasts, elevating. I don't know how you do it with some of these Josh audios of like, it sounds like there's a train going on in the background. And then before you know it, it's like this beautiful DJ sound and voice of his. When it comes to like what you see people struggle when they are putting together a video or putting together audio, like what are some of the struggles or mistakes that you see people making?
Well, I think every mistake that I see really starts with people's mindset around creating content. So it's like people's biggest things are, I don't know what to say, or I don't know what to, and I always tell people when it comes to that kind of thing, just lean into what you know. Just Brenda said in the chat not too long ago, a few minutes ago, I just talk and talk and talk and talk. And that's a good place to start. If you're going to talk, just talk about what you know, no matter who you are. If you're going to sit in front of a camera and speak, just remember to speak about what you know. Everybody is an expert at something. I have not seen anything to disprove that. Mm-hmm. As long as you lean into that expertise and start talking, getting comfortable, making content, figuring out advanced lighting techniques, cameras, all of that stuff can come afterwards. Just get started. It's only a struggle if you see it as being a struggle. And the way that happens is because you're leaning into a subject matter that you may not be an expert on. Mm-hmm. So I always tell people to start off by speaking about what you know. And that usually seems to help folks a lot.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I mean, this is actually something that that we teach a lot about in terms of making sure that like when you're sharing something, like let's say in a video, instead of saying like the 5 tips that will get your business to get to $1 million this year, if you've had a business that has gotten $1 million, you can say the 5 things that we did to help our business get to $1 million. That just changes like even the confidence that you're going to have filming that video. Because if you're like, these are the 5 steps that everybody needs to take in order to have success, it's going to probably feel awkward to you. But if you're like, these are the 3 things that I found that I personally use to be able to achieve X, Y, and Z, it just changes the game of not only the conversation that you're having, but even the confidence that you have when you say that. So I really, really like that. And Teresa had to get the puppy, so she kind of missed a part of that. So let's go to the next one. So we talked about some of the struggles and mistakes that they're making. I also want to talk about like beginner advice. All right. So if you guys were to give somebody beginner advice, right? We already talked about like finding out what actually attracts you, right? And seeing what elements of that you can add. find out what detracts you, and make sure that you don't do that for you and for your clients, right? And then being like the real authentic you, maybe even having somebody behind the camera ask you some questions, or really thinking about just who needs you to like really show up then. But if like you had a conversation with a beginner level, what would be the most simplest thing that you could tell them in terms of like advice? I'll start with you, Teresa.
I would just say practice. It's just about the repetitions and getting like, and it doesn't have to be where you actually, do this on social media. It could just be your camera, and you're just kind of getting accustomed to just being in front of the camera. I think is really good. Just
I like
practice.
I like it. Curt, what do you think? What would be the one tip that you would give starters, somebody who's just beginning right now?
Well, absolutely. It's practice. So like, you don't have to be perfect to start. The only way you get perfect, or you get closer to perfection, is by starting. So people want to be perfect, but it's like putting the wagon before the horse, like they would say. You don't get closer to that, progress without actually getting started. So just like they say on Think Media, just hit record.
Yep.
It really is that simple.
I agree. I mean, there's so many like advanced strategies that you can tap into when it comes to video, like the hook, how you title the video, what you say within the first 3 seconds, if it's a short or a reel, like what you're showing, like in the actual video. Like there's a lot of advanced things, but I feel like all of those things come after you just hit record. You just get started. Just like you guys said, it's through the process of practicing. If I came on here and Curt came on here and we shared all of our advanced techniques, it would cause you to like not even want to take any action because you think it all has to be perfect. The best way is to get started, is to just record it and see, do people respond to this or not? If they respond to it, hey, how can I do this more often? If they don't, what is a different way that I can do this? I know we didn't have an opportunity to talk about the many different types of videos that people can make, right? I mean, you have the dancing and the pointing video. Like that still works for some people. If that works for you and you're the energized kind of like person like that, keep using it, right? But some people like come up with like lists of the top 3 things or the top 5 things. A lot of people will tell a story in like when it is in their videos, right? Or you tell people something and you hint on it and you get enough curiosity for them to keep watching. That actually happened to you guys. You're here today because in the beginning, when I talked about like how we can actually get ahead in video and how uncomfortable it can feel when you're trying to record video for the first time, and we're going to show you these strategies. Stay tuned for more. You watched like our intro video and all that stuff, and you're here right now because we sold you an idea to continue watching. All of these, though, are advanced strategies. After you put something out there, you can improve it, right?
Yeah.
You cannot improve in action. You have to be willing to get out there, to take action, and to take it to the next step. Okay. Last question is, what do you think is the one thing that holds creators back from creating videos and putting them out there? What do you think is the one thing? Go ahead. What do you think is the one thing?
No, I want to hear from Curt.
Okay, Curt, what do you think is the one thing that holds creators back from creating videos and putting it out there?
I would have to say not remembering the value they put out there. Everything else becomes an excuse. And I don't mean to be, too blunt with it, but when you hear people saying like, I don't have time or I don't know what to say, that may be the case. But if they did lead with their value and remembered how valuable their expertise was and how bad the people on the other side of the camera need to hear that, they would find a way around those excuses. Leading with your message, what you're doing and what you know, someone else needs to know that and they can benefit from that. So remembering your value will help get you past any mental obstacles you might have to sitting down and just pressing start.
Spoken like a true life coach. What do you think, Teresa?
Yeah, I mean, and this kind of piggybacks on what Curt said. And I think it's just thinking about what other people are going to think, like really putting too much value on or too much emphasis on other people's opinion of what they think, when they see your video, what they're going to say, or, all of that. People get really in their head about that. And I think that's super detrimental for you because you have no control over that. So why would you spend so much time and energy in something that you have no control over? So I think that's one of the really big things. And like Curt said, remember your values, getting past, and obviously it's a process to get past worrying about other people's opinions. But if you do remember your values and that there's something that you can share that can be super important for someone else to hear, then you do that, right?
Yeah, 100%. Can you hear our puppy? He wants to share his values. He wants to get out and be around us. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy when I do have a lot of conversations with like my clients about being afraid of what other people think. I actually have them define who those other people are, because a lot of times they're either nobody, like they're just a group of massive people that you don't know who they are, or they're specific people. And I'm like, well, are those the people you're trying to help? And they're not. They're actually the naysayers. They're the family members. They're the people who are like trying to push you down. There's the people who are like trying to keep you safe, right? They're like my mom, like, oh, come on, you just got to take it easy. Just sleep in today, right? She loves me, but she's not doing what like actually serves us the best, right? And so like realizing like, actually, those aren't the people. The people that I want to help, what do they think about it? This is what they think about it. They think about like, I need to have that message today. I needed to hear that. That's what I needed to be able to take that next step, to be able to push myself out there and to be able to achieve what I wanted to achieve. And without that message, I don't know if I would have been able to do that today. So those are the people I really want to think about and remind myself of, right? Now, when it comes to how we can get past this, I don't know. Did you talk about like some of the ways to get past this? But one of the ways that I always find to speed up and circumvent this process is to make sure that I'm surrounding myself with other people who have the same values as me, but who are also taking the same level of action that I want to take. Here's what I mean. If I was a police officer for 20 years, right? And I'm wanting to create YouTube videos, being in a police officer environment would have detracted me from making videos, because everybody's like, why are you making videos? What are you doing? That's stupid. Why are you even doing this, right? It's dangerous. People are going to be able to find your house. Like literally by putting myself in that environment, I was in the wrong environment to grow a business. And what's crazy is like when I separated myself from that environment and I found an environment of people who wanted to not only crush their business and have massive success, but also get to the point where they can connect with their family on a different level and get their health and keep it a priority. I started hanging around with those people. Now it was normal to do these things. Now it was normal to have a conversation about like, oh, did you see that comment that somebody made on my social media? But when you don't have a group like that, it feels like you're alone and you're not a part of a team and you feel like you're secluded on an island and you don't know the strategies on, okay, hey, I did my videos. What do I do next? And you don't have that team or that group that you can actually get some help with, some advice, some direction. And really a lot of times it's doing what we talk about here, which is reminding you of what you're fighting for, reminding you of like the person out there who needs to hear your message. And you're not going to get that in the environment that we're typically in the environment that like literally we've grown up in for our whole entire life. We have to go out and we have to find that environment. And that's one of the reasons why we believe so much in our inner circle. Now, for those of you guys who have never heard of the inner circle, it's a program we've been doing for about 5 months. And we're like literally stepping it up this year because we really want to help a massive amount of people create massive success in their business, working on video, using podcasts, however you want to. But we also want to make sure that you know that we believe that you can have massive success in your business without sacrificing the areas of your life that are most important, like your family and your health. And that's what we do inside of the inner circle. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be moving to twice a month. We're going to be having calls here on YouTube specifically for our inner circle. So what we talked about today is like beginning stages of starting video. What we do on the inner circle is we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive in there, help answer personal questions that people are asking. Hey, I'm doing this. How can I do that? And we're going to be able to help answer that question because we can't do that for all of YouTube. And there's so many other extra bonuses that you get as a part of the inner circle. And if that's something you're interested in, definitely you can click the join button below and you can see some of those details. I know we have a lot of the people here. Now, there is one extra bonus that we're actually doing for this next week. Through Wednesday, we're actually going to be doing a whole ton of giveaways to any of our new members and even some of our existing members. We're going to be giving $50 gift cards away. We're going to be giving books away. We're going to be giving access to some of our courses. We're actually going to be giving one free one-on-one breakdown session, which is normally $750. We're going to be giving it for free. As long as you sign up before Wednesday, you're going to be entered into winning that opportunity. Now, next weekend, if you're like, I really want to like see what this is about, but I want to experience it first. Next weekend, we are having our one and only open session of the inner circle. This is where we take a deeper dive in to help people and guide them through the situations that they're currently going through in an area that they're currently experiencing, maybe some, whether it's self-sabotage or they're holding themselves back. We want to give them some advice because we've been there. We've been in that situation. We've wanted to leave our 9 to 5. We wanted to grow our business. And of course, as of last year, I was able to retire from my police career because we were able to grow a successful business that allowed us to spend more time together, get to not miss like special events with our kids, and be able to get myself into the best shape of my life because I had the time and the energy and I wasn't around that negativity. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely click the join button and learn about it. If you join us now, you'll be entered into those sweepstakes. If not, no worries. Next weekend, you'll get an opportunity to experience it here live and to see what it's really like behind the scenes. And then if it's something you want to do, you can definitely jump on board from there. So that's what I want to say. I appreciate you guys for being here. Anything else come up for you? Curt, anything else?
Curt.
You
Really
want to, by the way, one thing I didn't mention is that Curt is going to be inside of some of our inner circle calls because he's speaking to more of an intermediate / advanced level person who maybe wants this stuff done for them, who maybe wants some ideas about how to make the videos more captivating, how to make it so that people stay on your videos and click on it and click like and sign up and join your stuff. He is like a master at doing that. We didn't get to unleash his skills here today because really we wanted to keep this more for like people who are just getting started with video. But somebody who does want, like, let's say they do want some extra help, Curt, and I hope and encourage them to join the inner circle so they can actually have more access to you. But if, let's say somebody does want some help, whether it comes to an audio podcast or a video podcast, how can they best get your help, Curt, to help level that up?
Me directly. Well, to start with, joining the inner circle is definitely the best way because I'll be on, like Mark said, I'll be on sharing more and more advanced stuff. We didn't get into any of the technical stuff. I just wanted to make sure you guys were in the right mindset to get started. We'll be talking about a lot more of that in the inner circle coming up. And as far as reaching out to me directly, the easiest way is just KaineLegacy.net. We'll put a link in the description below for you guys down below. And all my contact information is there if you do want to work with me.
Yeah, and let me ask that, Curt. Like, what are some things that you do for your clients so that people can have an understanding of what you can actually do for them?
There we go. I do. Well, it's real simple. Like when you're creating content, you have to worry about video, audio, your presentation, your retention. I specialize in all those things. So I will give you great video, great audio, and motion graphics, like what you guys, the cute stuff you guys see flashing on the screen here. Yeah, that kind of stuff helps keep people engaged in your video, and I do stuff like that too. So.
Yes, well, you crush it. I mean, anybody who wants to go back and look at some of our normal videos, not our live videos, but our normal videos, that's what Curt does. If you saw the before and after of Teresa and I messing up, making mistakes, saying bad words on accident or on purpose, and then seeing what the end result is, it's a game changer. It makes it look like not only so professional, but it makes the sound like really, really pop. And we even have him do it for our podcast because there's just a different level. Like even just when you're in somebody's ear, if you're too nervous to start on video, start on some type of audio. And like literally, it's like you're in somebody's ear having a conversation with them. But if you elevate your audio so it doesn't sound like you're in an echo room or anything like that, it is total a game changer. So Curt, man, I appreciate you for being on here. I also appreciate you for being such a powerful part of the team. We could not do this without you. We would be such terrible quality, and it would take time. Thank you for doing that, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Of course. I'm happy to be here.
All right, guys. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for making it to the end. Appreciate you so much. Want to welcome a lot of people to the Inner Circle. I know we had a lot of Inner Circle people who joined this last week. I'm super pumped to have a lot of you guys join this week. See you on the next live on next Saturday. Same bat time, same bat channel. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do out there every single day. The world needs to hear your message. If we can help you put it out there, that's what we're here for. So have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you guys really soon, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.